Hi everyone, welcome to another episode from Legal Connect. This is your one and only anonymous lawyer anchoring tonight's episode. This is a space where we talk about legal issues affecting Nigeria and Nigerians. And as I always say on every episode, please do provide comments, like the episodes or like the program, and look to subscribe so that you can have notification as and when new materials are posted on the space, so that you will be the first to be notified. It has been a hectic few weeks in Nigeria, given the situation on the currency redesign, or per se the so-called, with inverted commas, currency redesign. On tonight's episode, I'm going to look at the new saga that has erupted our society, the new saga that is playing out in our very own eyes. That is the boxing bout between our very own Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Supreme Court. Just a little brief history of what has transpired so far. The Supreme Court adjourned the case brought by three northern governors in order to add more parties to the suit. Adjourned the case for substantive argument to be heard on the 22nd, which is just a couple of days from now, and ordered that the status quo, that is all currencies, the three denomination, that is the 200, 500 and 1000 naira, continue to be legal tender in the country. And few hours after that judgment or that order from the Supreme Court, our very own Mr. President decided that he is going to ignore the order made by the Supreme Court that all status quo be maintained until the substantive matter in this case is determined by the Supreme Court. And tonight I'm going to start off with a transcript from that public broadcast. I'm going to analyze the transcript of President Muhammadu Buhari broadcast to look at in details the reason why he's ignoring the Supreme Court order. And also, to end this segment, I'm going to analyze the provisions of the Constitution, what powers the President has to overrule or to ignore the orders or judgment from the Supreme Court. He is setting a precedent that will come back to determine the future of this country if presidents can ignore the order or the judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. So first of all, let's dive into this transcript as read out by our very own President Muhammadu Buhari. The transcript has been segmented into 24 paragraphs. So I'm going to deal with the paragraphs that I feel are important, which I think contradicts the whole purpose of this with regards to the currency recoloration, because this is not currency redesign. It's just dipping the currency into a different color and you bring it out. They call it currency redesign. It's not redesign. You haven't designed anything. They've just changed the color, and that is currency recoloration, in my own opinion. So paragraph 2 states, particularly, I am addressing you as your democratically elected president to identify with you and express my sympathy over the difficulties being experienced as we continue the implementation of new monetary policy aimed at boosting our economy and tightening of the loopholes associated with money laundering. What will I say about this paragraph? Changing the color of a currency, how will that boost the economy? And how will that plug the loophole associated with money laundering. Let's take example from the Western world, countries like America, countries like United Kingdom. They pretty much are cashless society. Does that mean that money laundering doesn't happen in that country? I remember one of Nigerian former governor Buhari, was jailed in the UK for money laundering. I don't believe he took bags of naira to that country, did he? And went through the airport with a suitcase full of naira. No, he did not. So how was he able to money launder currencies from Nigeria into the UK, a UK that operates cashless society, and there is money laundering going on in that country? So I don't believe changing the color of a currency will tighten the loophole for money laundering. You need a sound policy to deal with money laundering, not just changing the color of a currency. Paragraph 3 talked about strengthening the Nigerian economy, that he is committed to enhancing security and blockage of leakages associated with illicit financial flow, remaining top priority of his administration. His administration has been in power now for over 7 years, and it has gone from mild insecurity to very critical insecurity in the last 7 years. And he hasn't thought about addressing these matters since, or he might feel that he's addressed it, but it hasn't worked. People that, according to him, in one of my episodes, one of the senators talked about the fact that he has put a lot of resources into insecurity, and it is the people that he has appointed that have failed him. And yet, he's only got about 6 months left in his administration. Now he wants to deal with insecurity. He wants to deal with the illicit financial flow within the society or within the economy in 6 months, when he hasn't been able to do it in 7.5 years, but he wants to do it in 6 months. And paragraph 4, he said, in the last quarter of 2022, I authorized the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign 200, 500, and 1,000 Nigerian banknotes. First of all, it is not redesign. When you redesign something, you change the appearance of that thing, not the color. It means the design, which means the write-up within that banknote, not the color. Changing a color is not, in my opinion, is not redesign. If you feel that it is redesign, please leave your comment down at the below commentary box, because I don't think this is redesign. Putting this banknote into a new color of blue or pink or whatever it is not, in my opinion, currency redesign. So he said in the last quarter. What's the quarter? That's the last 3 months, is it? Yeah, quarter is 3 months, isn't it? The last 3 months, the last quarter is October, November, December. So the last 3 months of the year, he requested the Central Bank of Nigeria to start the process of recoloring the banknotes, which are 200, 500, and 1,000 naira banknotes. And then he wanted this recoloring of the banknotes to come into existence by January 31st, 2023. That's 4 months. Yeah, that's 4 months. So if October, November, December, January. In 4 months, he wanted Nigeria to change the color of its currency. He wanted all the old colors to be out of existence and the new color to start. The United Kingdom, as a lot of academians and learned colleagues have alluded to, that as a result of the death of the Queen, in the process, or they've commenced the process of changing the identity, the picture of the queen to the picture of the king. And this is going to take over 12 months or close to 12 months. So it's going to be implemented 2024, at some point in 2024. And this is process started 2022, late 2022. And as they continue to introduce the different currency, I think they've introduced the coin's currency bearing the king's head rather than the queen's head. And there are still coin currencies that are in existence, that are still being used, even though it is being phased out. It is still legal tender in the country. But Nigeria, being the expert, being the smartest nation in the world, decided to do away with its old currency even before the new one came into existence, because they said they were supposed to be in concurrent use in January. But in January, at the end of January, even beginning of February, we still don't have the new Naira note. Not even beginning of February. This is 20th of February. You can hardly lay hold of the new currency. They want people to burn their old currency, which they legitimately earned. Those that have legitimately earned their money, they want them to set them ablaze and burn them into ashes. And if you look at paragraph 5, that's basically what I've just said, that for a smooth transition, I similarly approved that the redesigned banknote should circulate concurrently with the old banknote till 31st January 2023, before the old note ceased to be legal tender. And was this the case? This was not the case. There was no concurrent circulation of the old and new banknote. As at 31st January 2023, the new banknote was not in the society, or rather, it was with the people that are entitled to it, which are the politicians. At paragraph 6, he said all these activities are being carried out within the ambit of the Constitution and the relevant law under the CBN Act 2007, and in line with global best practice. What does it mean by global best practice? Is there any country that he can cite as an example that changed its currency within 4 months and banned the use of the old currency, even though that is what the citizens have in their pocket? Or what part of the ambit of the Constitution is he referring to? If we look at the Constitution, which talked about separation of powers, that is the part of the Constitution that he has just trampled on by ignoring the order of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, ignoring it. I don't know under what power he has decided to ignore the order of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. At paragraph 7, he talked about that we should understand and have patience during this transient phase of implementation. What patience? If my kids are hungry and crying, what I will tell them is, please have patience. This will pass. For how long? What patience is he asking Nigerians to have when they are faced with hard decisions to make, either to die in starvation or to go out protesting? He doesn't feel it, because where his meal comes from, how his meal is prepared, or how the recipes are obtained, is not his problem. He's got numerous of house help as the president that does all this. The CBN will always issue currencies to him, even though they are not issuing it to the people. They will always issue currency, hard currency, to the president. He doesn't have a set limit as the one imposed on us, the citizen. Paragraph 7A talked about the CBN having firm control over money in circulation. How can the CBN have control over money in circulation when it is going to be difficult to have a digital or a cashless society? As we have said over and over and over again, which these people don't seem to listen to, there is no problem within the urban area if you are pushing a cashless society policy. At least to an extent, it will work in the urban area. What about the rural area? The villages, the communities that doesn't have electricity, that doesn't even have a bit of civilization. There are communities that I've not heard of in this country. How will they survive? What is the presidency's advice to those communities? What is the CBN's advice to those communities? Are they advising those people travel into the urban area, get the limited a week supply, go back to your society? Once you've exhausted that, travel back? Is that the advice? I don't know how they expect those areas of the country to fare with this policy. Okay, this paragraph is quite interesting. Paragraph 7B. It talked about the fact that in 2015, the amount of currencies that was outside the banking system was 78% in 2015. Then, as of 2022, it grew to 85%. So if my mathematics serves me right, it means that in 7 years, the amount of currencies in outside the banking system has increased by 7%. So is that critical enough to leave the citizens in abject poverty, to crash the economy? Because in 7 years, the amount of currencies outside of the banking system has increased by 7%. I would have thought, as a critical thinking human being, that in 2015, when his administration came in and noticed that 78% of the currencies outside of the banking system, this policy should have kicked in. The policy of let's change the color of the currency in order to pull money out of the banking circulation. I would have thought that the policy should have kicked in then, not waiting for that percentage to just grow by tiny, mini 7%. 7C paragraph, the huge volume of banknotes outside the banking system has proven to be practically unavailable for economic activities and by implementation retard the attainment of potential economic growth. And who is holding these banknotes? Obviously, it's not the civilians. In my opinion, it is those in power, the politicians. Those are the people holding on to hard currency, Nigerian hard currency. And how do they get this amount, this huge currency? How do they actually get hold of them? Is it by accumulation of this currency or what? In order for me to have, let's assume for argument's sake, for me to have, say, 1 billion naira in hard currency, there is no way I'm going to save that huge amount of money through my employment. It will take me maybe hundreds of years to save up that amount. In order for me to have such amount in hard currency in my house, it means that I would have engaged in a project that will make such huge amount available at an instant. And even if such amount becomes available to me, where will I get it from? Is it not from the bank? So if the bank is willing to issue me a hard currency up to ₦1 billion for me to keep in my house, whose fault is it that people are having hard currencies in their house? That would be the fault of the banking system. That would be the fault of people in politics. That would be the fault of the people in government. Because first of all, the common man will not have such huge amount. I don't think the common man will even have 10 million naira in their houses. So it will be a tiny percent of politicians, government employees, civil servants, a tiny percent of them that have these huge amounts stocked up in their warehouses or in their bedrooms and on the grounds. Paragraph 7E. Given the prevailing security situation across the country, which keeps improving. Sorry, Mr. President, I'm not sure I heard that right. The security situation is improving. The security situation has gotten worse compared to 2015, because 2015 people were able to travel around on the road, but now there is huge influx. People prefer that those that can afford it prefer to travel by air than to travel by road. And then paragraph 9, I have been reliably informed that since the commencement of this program, about 2.1 trillion out of the banknotes previously held outside the banking system had been successfully retrieved. Yes, you're right that this has been retrieved, but at what detriment? The detriment to the common man. Do you know how many people have died as a result of them having no money to feed? Do you know how many people have been frustrated, that have committed suicide as a result of this policy? I'm not going to bother because of time looking at paragraph 10, because in my opinion it's just ridiculous what the projection he's saying, because he's not going to be around to be questioned on this projection. Once the election coming up this week is done and dusted, then he has no responsibility for Nigeria anymore. He's now on the next government to shoulder. So I'm not even going to waste my time reading paragraph 10, because I think it is a false impression and it is illusion what he's projecting. Paragraph 11 talked about the pain that banking officials have brought on Nigerians as a result of this policy, and he is pained and sincerely sympathizes with you all. You know, he's not sympathetic at all towards the plight of Nigeria, because if he was sympathetic, he said, give me 7 days and I'll fix it. 7 days came and it was gone. He didn't say anything. He only came up with this broadcast as a result of the stance of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, which he has truncated by not abiding by that order of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. So he doesn't feel the pain that we are going through. He lives in his mansion in Aso Rock. He's waited upon by house help and all the likes, and he doesn't feel the pain that I am feeling as a Nigerian. The pains that people are feeling as a Nigerian. People taking their lives as a result of the pain that is inflicted on them. Paragraph 12, it talked about being educated on this policy, that the CBN should educate the people. How do you educate people in weeks about a policy? If they were engaging with the society, it is not, giving broadcast on TV. Go to where it is highly fed, the pain is highly fed. Go to the rural areas, go and see how difficult it is for people to live even with the currency that we were using during the circulation of currency that he said is outside the banking system. Go and look at the pain people were living in then, and then Go now and go and see what they are facing as a result of this policy. How you expect people to live, how you expect people to trade, how you expect people to buy things. Not even talking about the micro and small businesses that they've wiped out of the economy. Paragraph 15 is quite interesting. He said, I similarly consulted widely with representatives of the state governors as well as the Council of State. Above all, as an administration that respects the rule of law. No, you don't respect the rule of law. If you respect the rule of law, then you should have not given this broadcast. You should have waited for the Supreme Court to continue with its sections and give a judgment on the case that have been brought by the three governors, which now has turned into a kangaroo mock process, because every decanary had joined in the suit. The Edo State governor jumped into the bagwango, and also other governors as well. And then you coming up with these broadcasts, overruling the order of the Supreme Court. No, you don't respect the rule of law. If you understand the meaning of the rule of law, you know that what you're doing now truncates the rule of law and also violates the separation of powers as provided for by the Nigerian Constitution as amended 1999. Paragraph 16, he talked about, I have given approval to the CBN that the old 20 naira banknote be released back into circulation. That is a wrong decision. The Supreme Court said the status quo should be maintained. That is, the 200 naira, the 500 naira, and the 1000 naira should continue to be a legal tender. You came up hours after that order and overruled the Supreme Court by saying that they should, the 500 naira and the 1000 naira cease to be legal tender, and that the 200 naira can run concurrently with the new 200 naira. That is not the right decision. The right decision is to come out and tell the Nigerians that you abide by the decision of the Supreme Court until its final judgment. Paragraph 18 is another interesting paragraph. Considering the health of our economy and the legacy we must bequeath to the next administration and future generation of Nigerians, I admonish every citizen to strive harder to make their deposits by taking advantage of the platforms and windows being provided by the CBN. So we've been paying our old currency into the bank in the last few months. I even had the experience of people paying at the POS for their old currency to be accepted from them. And now Nigerians are paying to get hold of the new currency. So you pay to put your old currency in the bank. Now you're paying to withdraw your new currency from the bank. Is that not laughable? That is laughable. And this phrase, we must bequeath to the new administration, is the old purpose of this process. Influence the election, make sure that no vote buying. If you really wanted to implement a good policy, if you're saying that this policy is a good policy, you would have started it 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, not 6 months before the end of your administration. Paragraph 19, let me assure Nigerians that our administration will continue to assess the implementation with a view to ensure that Nigerians are not unnecessarily burdened. In this regard, the CBN shall ensure that new notes becomes more available and accessible to our citizens through the banks. Nigerians are already unnecessarily burdened, and this started last year, not even this year. It started around November, December last year, when this changing of color of currency, whole saga started. And as a result, many Nigerians have been launched into undefinable hardship. And he's saying that it is a little price to pay for a greater benefit. What benefit are you going to achieve if you don't survive through the little pain or the little period? 21, he says, fellow citizens, on the 25th of February 2023, the nation would be electing a new president and National Assembly members. I am aware that this new monetary policy has also contributed immensely to the minimization of the influence of money in politics. This is the reason why this policy, or so-called policy, was initiated in the first place, to influence the election. And for me, in my opinion, I think this is on the borderline of an offense for the CBN to be seen influencing the election, either by bringing that policy to stop vote buying or to whatever it is. The fact that the policy is influencing the election shows that this is detrimental to the outcome of the election. If this policy was started 3 years ago, it would still have achieved its purpose of reducing the money in circulation. It's just that you have to have a policy whereby people are actually punished, or branches are actually dealt with if huge amount is pulled out of the banking system. Changing the color of a banknote is not going to stop the banks from bringing out huge sum of money from the bank. So I'm going to stop there in relation to the transcript. I don't believe that the president, Mr. Muhammadu Buhari, has any legal powers to overrule the Supreme Court of Nigeria. That is what we're going to talk about next. I hope you've understood my analysis of this presidential transcript, or part of the transcript that he's read to Nigerians. The overall summary of this speech is that he doesn't understand the pain Nigerians are going through as a result of this matter. He doesn't appreciate the impact of this policy on many Nigerians, or ordinary Nigerians, especially the Nigerians in remote areas of the country, in rural areas. He doesn't appreciate what they've done to them, how they've affected them both physically and mentally. People are committing suicide. People are fed up of living as a result of this policy. Things were fine. There was no drama until the CBN governor decided one morning, this is what I'm going to bless Nigeria with. This chaotic process, this painful process, this hardship process, I'm going to give it to Nigeria as a gift as they prepare to go to the polls on the 25th of February 2023. What I'm going to encourage the citizen is that keep faith, hold yourself together. Definitely this will pass. We will overcome it. But remember, when you fill the ballot paper come this Saturday, you should remember the pain that you've gone through, and make sure you don't repeat the same thing of voting an incompetent person to become our next president. There are a lot of candidates out there, and I believe half or more than half of them are very incompetent. With all due respect, at least I can name two of them that doesn't have the country at heart. Rather, they would turn this country into their own personal possession. The last 7.5 years has taught us that where we came from was far better than where we are now. This Saturday, we have the ability to turn around our circumstances. The Bible says, I'm not preaching here, but the Bible says when the Lord turned around the captivity of Zion, we were like them that were dreaming, or like them that dreamt. So we all, as individual Nigerians, have the power to turn around this tide. If we, as I've said in numerous occasions, if we vote in any person this Saturday, we deserve that person. If we vote in the people that are going to take us to the land of Eldorado, we deserve Eldorado. If we vote for the person that is going to take us to another at least 4 years of pain, we deserve that 4 years of pain. So my fellow Nigerians out there, my brothers, my sisters, I give a shout out to you, and I encourage you this Saturday, go out en masse, vote for the right candidate, because what we are going to experience in the next 4 years will be determined by us this coming Saturday. And I believe we will get it right, and I believe that this is the beginning of a better tomorrow. Have a good evening, and I will see you again soon. Take care now, and bye-bye.